Startup ecosystem, what the idea is that you have to learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got Startup on the Blocks. So I need you to start coming to Startup on the Blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America. We do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow, send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard. And Lloyd is here, he's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
Hey everyone, welcome to Startup on the Blocks. We have Ben here today. How you doing, Ben?
Hey, good, Lloyd. How are you?
Fantastic. We're excited to have you on. I'm going to give a couple of shout outs to my partners and sponsors, and then we'll have you introduce yourself. Yeah, here. So, but yeah, it's been a really good day today. Got to attend the Money Fest over in Mobile. So that was a really, really good event. So you met Quinn Bro, right? He and I went over there, and another Ben that does the sovereign ships. Had you met him yet, locally?
I don't think so.
Okay, well you'll run into some of these startup founders around here as we keep moving along and get more of them involved in your AI meetup stuff. But first of all, we over the past 5 years, we started off kind of with just us, the Core Institute, and then we started partnering with folks to kind of so we could better support the founders, and so it's really important for founders to have the tools. Like one of the tools we have is Startup Science. It's a program that allows founders to learn all the life cycle phases of their startup and then what they need to do at each stage. And it was actually developed by a guy that had 12 X's totaling several $billion. And so it literally answers a lot of the questions that ecosystem organizations want to know about you and about your startup. And so it's a good learning tool. And plus it has a lot of tools for pitch competitions, grants, finding grants. It has tools for determining your market size. It's just so many tools in there. It's just a really fantastic platform. And so we make that available to folks. So like I said, it's a great platform. Coda, Ben, I don't know if you're familiar with Coda. It's a document platform. Had you came across it yet?
Yeah, I've seen Coda.
Yes, and so it's and one of the things I tell people about Coda and reason why we partner with them is, first of all, they give the founders like 6 months free with an unlimited AI. But to me, the magic sauce of Coda is it allows you to integrate to every major platform that's out there that's got an API, and you can bring that into your one document, so you don't have to be switching between documents. And so, Ben, what I'm thinking is so of course it's got an API and everything. So I'm wondering with the vibe coding tools, for integrations that may not be available, one of the possibility of leveraging some of the vibe coding tools to even pull those interfaces in it, because they use vanilla JavaScript to kind of integrate to all the other applications. And so, but that's good. Make Startups, and we're really excited about Make Startups. And I've been telling people about that for probably a year now, and so and I think we're ready to kind of engage with them in a lot more deeper ways because that platform and what we like about it. And there's we got a link that we can share too, where Make Startups they found out that there's 8 questions investors and ecosystem organizations want to know about your startup, and so they want to and so when you learn how to answer those 8 questions thoroughly and completely, you get a better chance of getting into a pitch competition or getting funding or getting into a program. And so that's what's cool about that program. So the opportunity that we have now with them is that for founders, they can click the link and answer the 8 questions about their startup, and then they can get feedback on how well they answer the questions and how to actually answer the questions, so you can have better success. Pitch Bob, that's the AI agent that's kind of crazy. Have you run across Pitch Bob yet, Ben?
No, not yet.
That one is crazy. It's an Israeli company, and they like partnering with organizations, but it leads you through about, I don't know, 30 some questions about your startup, and then it generates all your basic startup documents for you. And so you don't have to start from scratch, and so it's great for that kind of thing. So
Very useful.
yeah, so it helps because like what we say is when you fill out an application for a grant or a pitch competition to get into a program or to get some of these perks from like Microsoft and all these other companies, they want you to describe your startup, and so this at least gives you some guide, some a way to say what you actually do, and that's what I kind of like about that. Our main platform we use is Lean Stack for Ashmore. That's the Lean Startup methodology. We members of Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, Black Innovation Alliance, and Goody Nation. So these are some of our partners, and these are some of the people that help pay the bills. FPL, Industry Hotels, Renaissance Bank, the first bank, which Renaissance bought the first. So now I guess we don't need but one thing on there. But these are just a bunch of the other founders, and maybe you recognize some of the local companies on there, Ben, so that are supporting what we're doing. All right, so it's your turn. Get for a minute or two. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Lloyd. I guess I started off my career as an aerospace engineer working at Boeing, designing the 787 Dreamliner hydraulic systems. I did that for about 12 years, started when it was on paper and took it all the way into production in the factory when we were building it, making sure everything was built right, works as expected, and then helped. Last 3 years there, I spent 3 years flying around the world helping airlines fix hydraulic system problems and plan and do maintenance planning and things like that. So I had a very kind of different background, but it was very what I'd call cross-functional. And my spare time, I was doing startups. Like when I went home from work, I had like a Drupal site or a WordPress site. I discovered like in 2007, I think it was, that SEO really, like at least at that time, Google really cared about your domain name for SEO. And so I had bought this domain name for the Winter Olympics that was coming up in 2010. And I built a really crummy website, but it was like #1 in Google a few days later, and I was hooked. I was just like, okay. So I went out and bought a bunch of domain names and started trying to do a bunch of SEO stuff. And just through a lot of trial and error, ended up deciding that as much as I loved aerospace engineering and airplanes and all that, like web development was where my heart was. And so I went into software engineering, left that role, kind of left a senior spot, went into like a junior role as a software engineer. And that was about 8 or 9 years ago, and just have kind of been working my way back up, learning the skills of software engineering. and working for other companies doing that. Almost a year ago, a little less than a year ago, I quit my full-time job to focus on really what my heart was always in, was entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I had been involved in a startup called Kiss and Tell for about 6 years. It's a destination wedding platform.
Yeah.
They obviously took a we'll call it a hit through COVID. It
Yeah.
basically was like a full stop, right?
Yeah.
There was no business at all. So we took that time to, and I was working part time with them. We took it to that time to like completely redo our web platform from the ground up, and it was a good decision, good timing. We started things up about a year and a half to 2 years ago after COVID, and have slowly been increasing. But as we increased our business and our sales again, I found there were a lot of bottlenecks, and I went full time into that as a CTO, and was just like, man, there's so many bottlenecks here, and we don't have venture funding. There's no way to solve these things, and so I started doing research, and I discovered AI and generative AI, and like how people are really doing amazing things with automations, and that's what got me into Voice8 is the more I learned about AI, the more I broke our bottlenecks free. I was like, wow, this is a massive unlock. AI is just like it's transforming everything. The things I was doing in Kiss and Tell, it could be applied to almost any business
Okay.
to unlock them. And so now, really, what Voice8 is it's almost like a little. It started out as a consulting company, but it's becoming like a little incubation shop where when I consult somebody, it's like you uncover the problems that are underneath their business, and then you recognize that there's patterns between them and everybody else like them.
Yeah.
And my first client 3 months ago, we had an idea. Like I came up with this breakthrough idea for her, and she's a behavioral health clinic, and we started beta testing that idea last week, and we have our first sales call tomorrow. So it's like 3 months from the conversation, like, let's try this out, to now we're beta testing. Now we're gonna, on Monday, we're going live into production with real patients, and then tomorrow doing our first sales call, and all that's unlocked because of AI.
Fantastic.
Right? We're able to build state-of-the-art infrastructure. Everything's hosted in Kubernetes on Google Cloud and HIPAA compliant servers, and just all kinds of cool stuff that nobody would have been able to do without a team of 10, 20 engineers and some kind of massive funding. And so that is what I'm really excited about right now. I've got several of those kind of little projects in incubation, where we're just going from idea to prototype to beta testing to sales in a matter of months. Like, and obviously getting that down shorter and shorter is going to be possible as AI gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff, like at our AI meetup, that that's what I want to try to teach people at the meetup, and invite that conversation, because the more of us that are learning, the more we can help each other do this. And if we work together, I think there's a lot of opportunity right now to do startups in ways that have only, like we never would have been able to do even 2 years ago. So
probably even 6 months ago. Changing that fast. But yeah, so like we want to kind of dig a little deeper, and but I think what you just said about how fast you all were able to launch this application, and what it took a long time to do without these AI tools. I think that's really the message we're trying to communicate to the founders. If you have an idea, it can become a reality in a very short period of time. So I don't know if you remember when you were at the summit, we had a panel, and one of the guys on there was Josiah. He had he's a cybersecurity guy, I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember him. It was kind of funny. He sent me a text the day before yesterday, and a link to a website that he had created with actually Replit, and he said he had remembered the guy behind Replit when he was taking a computer science class many years ago that had created a tool where you can go from a flow chart to code. And so now you're going from just language to code, and deploying your application. So long story short, and he hadn't played with vibe coding at all. He's got like 2 or 3 startups, and so he said he spent 36 hours on Replit nonstop, and he built out his CyberLock application online, a website for his CyberLock application. Um, and he said it would have took he would have to pay developers a whole year to get that thing to what he did in 36 hours. Yeah. So isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's where we're at. It's hard to wrap your mind around, but yeah, we kind of have to embrace it and run with it.
for
So
sure. For sure. And that's what I like about you getting involved in, starting these meetups so more people can actually learn about it. And so that's really, really fantastic. But let's back up a little bit and kind of learn a little bit more. You talked about you were aerospace engineer. I had no idea you were an aerospace engineer and worked at Boeing. Yeah, so I learned a lot from Boeing in my career because we did a lot of business with them with the Air Force Research Lab. I spent a lot of time in Seattle, and but yeah, I liked their approach for engineering and actually developing stuff. And so, but yeah, and one thing I liked about Seattle too was they had good beer out there. Yeah, that was pretty neat. But how did all that? So what kind of made you think about getting into the engineering career field back then before you?
um, I've always liked understanding how things work,
Okay.
and the idea of inventing things and just really understanding things at the core level, at the math and physics level. Like what is it that causes these, in this case, jets and spaceships and things like that. Like what is it that actually, I mean, they look awesome, but
Yeah.
how do they work? So there's
Got
that kind of curiosity, and then a desire to design, to build, and to create, and to solve problems. And that's never gone away. Like I keep trying to feed that hunger.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, that's great. And so I guess a lot of those principles you learn in that career field, you still actually use them in the software career field as well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, airplanes are cool because I would say the complexity is often underappreciated. That not only are you designing something to be extremely safe, like not just safe but extremely safe,
Yeah.
but you're also designing it to make the airline money. So it's got to be extremely lightweight,
Mhm.
and it's also got to be maintained. It's got to work for 30, 40 years and be maintainable. So you have
Mhm.
to design it for maintainability, and it's also got to be sold at a profit. So you have to make it manufacturable at the cheapest cost possible. So
Okay.
all these like demands come
Yeah.
into the design, and
Mhm.
and 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 there, a lot of the demands are human, and so you're thinking about procurement, availability. I remember we had a lot of titanium issues.
Okay.
We were getting a lot of our titanium from Russia at the time. And so you're thinking about all these different kind of problems in a multi-dimensional way. And so that really gave me a big advantage in software because I would always walk into a problem with multi-dimensional ideas, like where what's the user thinking, what's the maintenance plan, what's the all these different factors, like how are we going to host it, how are we going to
Yeah.
scale it. And so having the ability to kind of move beyond just a page of code and think the whole picture.
Yes.
I think that is, probably an advantage that I got from that experience.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds really fantastic, man. Yeah, so just a quick side note here. One of the projects I had with Boeing back in the mid '90s, we had to do with they were using titanium to and they were actually casting titanium, no machining, and so I still have a couple of pieces of that, and it's heavy as I don't know what, and but it's like the part of a bomb rack actually, but it's so heavy, but it's just casted. It's not machined at all. How can you do that in 1995? That's what crazy. So they were really ahead of their time there. But yeah, that's really really fantastic. So what actually got you into Pensacola?
Um, it's a it's a very unique small town, in my opinion. I mean, it's obviously got the beauty of the coast. I mean, that's one factor.
Mhm.
I love the beach that it's. It. I used to come to Pensacola as a kid with my parents. They were in Northwest Arkansas, and they would come down to camp at Fort Pickens once or twice a year, and
Uh-huh.
and I love that when you drive over the bridge, even today, onto the island, it feels a lot like it felt as a kid. Like it hasn't changed much. It's not like an exploded,
Yeah,
skyscrapers everywhere.
yeah.
You still see a lot of the same bars and the same like little stores and things. Everything looks pretty much the way it did
Hmm.
many years ago. I love
Gotcha.
that. But then the downtowns really become kind of beautiful, and they have. I love the focus on community. You've got arts. I'm a big fan of. I have subscription to the Pensacola Symphony,
Okay.
and I love doing like different things that they have. So it's a great little small town. They've got parades, and it just I don't know. There's probably a handful of little towns like this that I'd live in the United States, but this is definitely one of them.
Oh, that's pretty amazing from that experience. So I got a story that you probably won't believe, and we were Robin and I were up in Seattle back in 2013. I was doing some consulting after retiring, and uh, so so we were visiting this one company out there, and so Robin brings up this subject. She says, around the turn of the century in the early 1900s, Pensacola and Seattle were exactly the same size. They both were and they had in the same industry, lumber industry, right on the coast, doing trading. And so now uh, you left Seattle. You know what Seattle looks like, and you know what Pensacola looks like. So what happened between those two cities in all those years? They had the same industry in the early 1900s. Yeah. That's hard to wrap your mind around, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm a firm believer that with the artistic community that's here, there's a lot of creative problem solvers. If
Yeah.
we if we if we match those people with powerful AI technology, we can create some big companies. Not
Yes.
that, like, to be clear, like I don't want Pensacola to grow like Seattle's grown, but and I don't think it would need to because there's the Amazon effect. I moved there in 2005 when Amazon was still like a one building company,
Yes.
and you could take pictures of the city of Denny Triangle and South Lake Union. It's they were all kind of decrepit.
Yeah.
But you go there today and take pictures of those things, and it's like a whole new futuristic world.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think that's because traditionally to build a software company like Amazon, you've needed thousands of engineers. I'm not sure that you're going forward. I think
Yeah.
you can build big companies like that with a fraction of the size of people.
Yeah, and I think that's the major key point of the whole conversation tonight is that you got one person companies that's building multi-million dollar companies, and I guess they're waiting to see who's going to be the first one person company that does have a unicorn, $1 billion company, because
Yeah.
leveraging the tools.
Yeah, what I've told people in the meetup is like, I think that's great if that's really what you want to do, but personally, um, I wouldn't want to take that ride. Like, I would want to have at least like a 10-person billion-dollar
Yeah.
company,
Yeah.
because there's two reasons. One is it's more fun,
Yes.
right? It's like I don't want to like go out and have drinks with all my little AI agents. That's not going to be fun. But but also I think there's a mixture of experts like at the human level. I learned through all my trial and errors with startups. It's not just about your idea; it's about who you tackle it with,
Okay.
right? Look at your own strengths and look at your own weaknesses, and try to find people that match your weakness, like that are strong in the thing that you're weak in. Some good co-founders and things like that. And I'm not saying that AI couldn't do that, but I would feel more comfortable with somebody good at what I'm not good at, who can use AI, than just trusting AI.
Gotcha. Yeah. And yeah, that's the hope. My whole message is that if you have an idea and you want it to come to life, now with the state of the tools, and so you can actually bring that to life for, I don't know, 1/100th of the cost it would have cost you a year ago, or whatever, and it's just getting cheaper and cheaper to build stuff, and it's literally. I was reading an article saying it's actually disrupting the venture capital industry, because they don't know how to handle, with all this AI creating all these capabilities. It's just hard to, because it's just totally changing the economy.
Yeah. Well, one thing to consider is, and I've thought a lot about it, is some of the SaaS platforms that are out there that were, let's say, founded 5 years ago with VC money. Those guys hired 100, 200 engineers,
Yeah.
spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and now they're holding those bags of cash that they spent, and they have to make back their investment. And somebody with a 5-person team can come in and build something better and underprice them significantly, and they're just going to be sit there holding the bags. It's that kind of a moment where it's like, yep, if you got in too early with some of these SaaS ideas, you might be disappointed right now. And I wonder what venture capitalists are doing about that very
Yeah.
scenario right now, that have invested in things, maybe a little too late, I guess.
Yeah, it's, but they're definitely riding this trying to ride this startup race with AI, and so but I think the ones that are really where the action is, they're actually seeing how AI is actually changing and trying to adapt real time to what's going on. But to me, that's getting more and more challenging. How do you, if like I was listening to a marketing thing today, that vibe coding for marketing, and so it was some folks from Replit and some marketers, but they said, like, if you were on the platform 2 weeks ago, it's way better than it was 2 weeks ago. So how do you keep up with something like that? Yeah,
Build. My answer to that is build a tribe.
yeah,
Right. So because of that rapid rate of change, I think it was last November, I was working at Panera Bread in Pensacola by the airport, and I was
yeah,
looking around. I built something with AI, and I was like, I wonder who else does this around here, because I'm just learning, and you can only learn so much in a day.
yeah,
And I looked for a meetup, and there was nothing. And so
right,
I thought, well, I'll start one. I mean, in Seattle, we have a meetup for everything, right? And so that's what the AI meetup's all about. Is like, I a tribe, if you think about a tribe as a like kind of in the old days, part of their
Mhm.
function was to protect each other from outside predators, so that you
Yeah,
could basically surround the gate and look out all directions. And so
yeah,
hopefully, if you have a big enough community, we can try it helps us better adapt to those fast changes
yes.
without missing some important relevant detail. That's kind of the theory anyway that we're trying to live out.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you sharing that idea about the tribe, because that's the way founders do thrive. Is like, in a tribe of other founders, that are sharing information, to help you keep from getting blindsided, because things are changing, and it's impossible for one person to be on top or know about stuff. Yeah, so um, that's really really neat. So so you were saying you were used to seeing meetups, but here, and so what's so funny about what you said about that? I was on a panel last fall, and it occurred to me there was no AI meetups, in the area. And then I saw something over in Fairhope that they were having a meetup over there, and I'm saying Fairhope is nowhere near the size of Pensacola. And Pensacola doesn't have a meetup, and Fairhope has a meetup. I said, this is crazy. And I found out this morning, over in Mobile at the Innovation Portal, that uh, they they have a meetup, AI meetup at the Innovation Portal as well. So there's two meetups over in Alabama that are close to us. So the one, there was uh, I think the LA AI or whatever is the one that happened the last Friday of the month, and so tomorrow there's, over in Fairhope, I guess it is that one meets over there tomorrow. And so they have, so like your event is when is your event?
It's Thursday, the second Thursday of the month, so it'll be next Thursday at 6 p.m.
Okay. So so yeah, so within 50 miles, there's at least three AI meetups that you can actually get to, now. So that's pretty neat. So where do you publish your information on your meetup at?
It's on meetup.com. That's one place. I think the Goat group, it's another kind of tech meetup in the area.
Yeah.
They also put it on their Facebook page and in their Discord channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So meetup.com. And so what's the name of yours AI meetup?
It's AI and let's see, AI Builders Pensacola is the name
Okay.
of the group, and then the event itself is exploring AI and AI applications. So kind
Yeah.
of,
And so
yeah.
what type of people show up at the meetup?
Well, it's been I would say a decent mix of people that know a lot. They professionally work with LLMs,
Hmm.
to some degree, and then people that have no idea, like they don't know the difference between a paid account and a free account for chat gtp. So it's you get the wide spectrum of complete beginners with very experienced people, which I love, because I think, I'm trying to encourage people that you don't need a lot of time to get good. I'm a product of a software boot camp. When I left my aerospace engineering role, I wasn't a professional software engineer, but I went through a 3-month boot camp
Hmm.
to become one, and I became one. Like I got a job after that, and so I'm a believer that and people are like, well, you were already an engineer. Well, I was, but I was also studying next to an English major who was a recruiter for a living,
Yeah.
and his first job out of the gate had a higher salary than mine. So, I'm a believer that it's a level playing field, that
Yeah.
you don't, if you want to skill up and you want to get good at building with AI, you can. It's just a matter of work. And what I hope we can provide is some focus, give people a nice like track of study. That's one of our goals, is to really cater to those beginners that are looking for like how to get started, how to build up their competency quick. Because I do think it's possible.
Yeah. So so I guess you got a situation where you got tools out there that are geared to developers, and you got tools out there that are geared to non-developers from a vibe coding sense. And just to give people an idea of how significant these tools are, so there is a new tool that got some funding a week or so ago, adapted.ai. And so I have a high school intern, and he didn't know anything about vibe coding. So I told him to, play with that adapted.ai and just to kind of see. So he's learning game development. He hadn't really learned any coding or anything. So when he was trying to get some sound effects for his game, and so we said, well, I'll just ask it about that. So so in a few minutes, he had an application that to experiment with generating sounds for his game, and he had never vibe coded before.
Yeah.
So that showed people how powerful. And he hadn't done any coding before. And so one thing I wanted to say about that, what caught my attention about about the adapted.ai, was that in the funding thing, it said that what was different about them was they built their software product for people that didn't know anything about coding, and so but I think of some of the other tools, they're becoming to the fact that they're improving so fast. It's getting to the point where you may not even have to know much about coding at all to actually even use them. But the good news is, even if you had a co-founder or somebody on your team that did have some technical background, you're still at a better advantage, with these new tools.
Yeah, and it's kind of like going back to building airplanes. You still don't you can't take for granted all the different issues that have to be considered.
Yes.
AI is simply a tool to build something useful, but when you consider the usefulness of it, like there's multiple dimensions that have to go into that. And so that piece of it, AI maybe someday will do that for you too, but but right now it's still kind of an art form to think about the problem and the solution, and making sure that everything's a good match and a good fit as you build it, test it, ship it, sell it. This is not, there's still a bit of an art form.
Oh yeah, and so but the unique thing, and the reason why AI is so adaptable and so useful, everything in life is a pattern one way or another. And so people in all these different career fields, like testing and whatever, they're developing the tools, to do that with AI. So like today, one of a board members, she has a marketing company, and she was telling me about a tool called Sosa or something like that. But like if you're developing a web app or a mobile app, it actually will test your app on all the different platforms for you using AI.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? And that costs a fortune to get that done in the past. Just so everybody who has a job and they're figuring out how to use the AI tools to make their job more easy. And so that's kind of the takeaway. And I always tell people, never base what you say about AI on something that's more than a month to 6 months old, because as the field is changing, they're improving things so fast. It may not have been able to do that 6 months ago, but now it's actually doing it. It may not have been able to do that 2 weeks ago, but now it's doing it. So That's really crazy. I never knew a technology that could actually change things that fast. Yeah.
Yeah, I consider this kind of a once in a species transformation. You know, they always say once in a lifetime, once in a generation. Yeah, I kind of feel like this is like, you know, we may never as a human species see such a transformation in our abilities so quickly. Maybe the one exception that we would find is like when we get like you know, warp speed capability where we could travel to a galaxy really fast. I suppose that would also be very transformative. But this is going to be very unique. It already is.
Yeah. So I just pulled up your Voice 8 .ai website here. And so what got you interested in the voice stuff with AI?
Um, Man, so there's a YouTube video that or a video clip that I could play that would give you like a sense of why I'm passionate about voice.
Okay.
It's a well, you guys might remember if you've ever watched Star Trek Five.
Okay.
This is where it's a classic Captain Kirk. What's his name? He's the Travelocity guy. But so Scotty and Doc were looking. They went back in time. They had to bring a humpback whale to the future, and they were looking for transparent aluminum. So they went to a material supplier, and you know, the material supplier said, "Well, that doesn't exist." And Scotty said, "Well, maybe I can use your computer and show you how to make it." And so Scotty walks up to the computer and he says, "Hello, computer. Hello, computer." And he's trying to talk to the computer. And and then he grabs the mouse and he talks to the mouse. "Hello, computer." And then the doc says, "Just use the keyboard." And he says, "Oh, the keyboard, how quaint." And he pops his knuckles and he starts typing really fast. And you can find that clip on YouTube, but it's so relevant. That
Yeah.
is that's where we're at. Like we've just transformed from the mouse and the keyboard to voice. And I mean, if you want, I can give a quick demo of a voice
Yeah.
agent,
Sure.
just you know, I this is
Yeah.
just something that I put together. I'm just on my phone right now, and hopefully you can hear this. But
welcome to Badger Dental Group. Sophie AI speaking. How can I help you?
hey, Sophie, what kind of services do you guys offer?
Hi there. At Badger Dental Group, we offer a range of dental services, including preventive care like exams, cleanings, and x-rays. Cosmetic treatments such as fillings, crowns, veneers, and whitening. Restorative options like implants and dentures. Invisalign registered trademark orthodontics. And TMJTMD evaluation and treatment. Is there anything specific you'd like to know more about?
Can you tell me more about veneers?
Of course. Veneers are a cosmetic dental treatment designed to improve the appearance of your teeth. They are thin, custom-made shells, typically made of porcelain or composite resin, that are bonded to the front surface of your teeth. Veneers can help with a variety of issues such as discoloration, chipped or broken teeth, gaps between teeth, or even teeth that are slightly misaligned. They are a great option if you're looking for a natural-looking and long-lasting way to enhance your smile.
Great. Can I schedule an appointment next week to get a veneer consultation for Tuesday morning?
Give me a moment. We have openings on Tuesday, May 6th at 11 a.m., 12 p.m., and 1 p.m. Which time works best for you?
11.
Great. Could I please have your name and the reason for the appointment?
Ben, and a veneer consultation.
This will just take a sec. Thanks for booking with us, Ben. You should now get an SMS with the details and the booking link. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you for calling. Have a nice day.
Bye.
So that's sounded really really great. The question I would have on that, does it also allow you to do like voice of IP on your browser as well? You know, ask some questions like that, or is it mainly just geared towards over the phone?
No, I mean it works over the browser. In fact, putting it over a phone line, giving it a dedicated number is an extra step.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. So it's actually it originates as kind of a VoIP type service,
Yes.
and then you have to associate it with a SIP trunk to make it, you know, have access to an actual phone number.
Okay. That's yeah. So I and so how affordable is it, you know, for small businesses and large businesses?
Well, I mean, so that's a great question. Right now, it's a bit of a wild west. There's people that would charge you thousands of dollars to set that up, and there's people that would do it almost for free for you because they want to learn, right? So it's all over the map. But so my goal is to, so what's going to happen over time is that's going to become a commodity.
Yes.
Right? Everybody's going to have it.
Mhm.
And my goal is to be a part of that commoditization, like, you know, so bringing the cost like as reasonably as low as possible.
Gotcha.
You know, and that's that's what I would call an initial sunk cost investment, right? Where you have to throw some extra development at it, and you
Mhm.
know, maybe not make as much profit up front as you want, but knowing in the long run this thing is going to be ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have it.
Yeah. But you know, like to me, you know, so like so can you deploy that for a customer and charge like $50 a month, $100 a month, or $200 a month, or what? So what price range is it actually in?
It depends on the business. Right now I'm working with HIPAA compliant type businesses, clinics, and in the medical space. So I think they're going to pay a little more,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
the price ranges, and I'm still working on the price ranges,
Okay.
but where I'm, my target is around let's say like 80 cents a minute or something like that. And
Okay.
that's not if you look at like a call service for
Yeah.
HIPAA anyway, you I think they're closer to $2, like $1.80 a minute.
Okay.
So it's pretty competitive. It's perhaps superior,
Yeah.
right? You getting but but you know, I probably could price more also, but it's one of those things where you want to get as many yeses as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's like I don't want it to be so expensive that people are just like, no, I can't afford it yet.
Yeah.
Because the more people you get in on it and using it, the you know, the better at this point. And so like my goal, it kind of shifted initially when I first started. I was like, yeah, I just need to make a lot of cash from this, and but then I'm realizing that the market's not necessarily like even appreciating what it is, right? And so
Yeah. Yeah. So let me share something with you here. The way we work with founders, you know, you know, first of all, this is just a process we take founders through, but these little icons here are business models, a lean canvas business model, and so this area right here is the customer segments. This is the problem. This is the value proposition. This is the, unfair advantage, your marketing channels, solutions, your metrics, your cost, and your pricing. And so, like in a case like what you just said with the pricing, what you want to do, what the currently people are paying for to solve the same problem, so that's kind of like a value based pricing approach that you can use. But the reason why you want to experiment with pricing is determine kind of the sustainability of your revenue model, or your business model. But anyway, so this simple process that we take founders through in the Lean Static platform is that you whatever's in your head for your business idea, you put it, you spend 20 minutes and putting it on a lean canvas. But what you do is you learn about the lean canvas first, and there's plenty of videos for each block. But then you spend 20 minutes just filling it out. And so you don't spend an hour, you don't spend 2 hours, you just spend that 20 minutes once you understand what goes in each block. And then you break it out into, they say variants, but it's just the customer segments. So like in your case, you may have with that voice agent, you may have small doctor's offices, or medium-sized medical clinics and hospitals. Just you break it out into different categories, and then you stress test it for desirability, and that you do that by creating a why now elevator pitch. So you use the customer segment, the problem that customer segment has have, and what are they currently using now, and what value you're bringing to them with your thing. So you create a 30 seconds, 60-second why now elevator pitch. And then if that doesn't resonate, with you or your coworkers or your small surroundings, you scratch that out. So that's the first test for desirability. And then now you want to test your pricing model. But the reason why you want to test your pricing model is you want to see how viable this thing is. So what you do with that, that's called, there's a tool in the platform. It's called a traction roadmap tool. But all it is it only requires like 7 numbers. So what's your goal recurring revenue you want to make in 3 years? So, and that's done in 100,000, a million, 10 million, 100 million. So you pick one of those numbers, and then your pricing model. And let's say let's say you're going to do, like, for $100 a month, you get 1 hour worth of phone calling with your agent. And then for another, let's say for $500 a month, you get 5 hours or something, but you have a pricing model, and so it could be a monthly thing. And so, and what you're looking at on your pricing is the customer spending $10 a year, $100 a year, $1,000 a year, $10,000 a year. What are they spending? You keep it simple like that. Just order the magnitude, and then let's say now you got you use in this viability test, you use your metrics, but the metrics are default. Like how long will a customer stay with you? What's your acquisition rate? But all those things are pretty kind of like set at default. So really, you only need your pricing model and your goal. And then what this tool does in 5 minutes, and just not even 5 minutes, in just a few minutes, it works backwards. So from your goal to what you have at the 3-year point, and what you have to do each month in order to reach that goal, whether it's 100,000, a million, or 10 million. And so you get to see this, and for each month, how many people you have to get into your sales cycle in order to kind of reach that goal. So if your thing says in order to reach your goal, you got to get 2,000 people in your sales cycle each month at a 10% acquisition rate. In order to reach that goal, so you may be charging too small amount of money. So you just experiment the pricing to see to get something reasonable, and see if you can innovate enough to kind of get that value. And then the last test you do is the test for feasibility, and that's just how much is going to cost you to roll that thing out, in 90 days. That's kind of as simple as that. But really, from this, you use all this information to create a business model story pitch, and and so that's kind of the way that works. But you can test an idea really quick and create a business model for it without, because like when you, let's say you want to get into a program that's going to, a pitch competition that's going to give you $25,000 or $100,000, you have to be specific on your pricing. But when you go to use this tool in there, you know what pricing that and how much sales you have to do to kind of do that. So it's kind of straightforward. But that's the secret to when you're a startup phase, you kind of stress test your business model so you can move forward. And then now once you got a good business model, then you go into this idea of problem discovery. And that's what this next thing is about, is you're going to interview people that's recently switched from this voice service to another voice service, so you can find out why they switch. So you're trying to find the psychological what caused them to switch. So in the last 90 days, you're looking for people who switch different services in the last 90 days, so you can get all the psychology of why they switch. And there's the tool in the platform that's called the customer forces tool. But first you do it with a kind of like a broad match of, the customer segments that you have passed all the tests so far. And so you do 10 to 15 interviews of those people, upload it to the customer forces AI, and it sort of analyze that whole thing for you automatically. So now you're seeing what's common in with those customer forces. Then you do a narrow match where you pick the one that has the most same job to be done, and then you interview 10 more people, 30 to 45 minutes, and you upload those 10 interviews, and then you get all the information you need to know about how to design a solution and sell that. And so that's kind of the process we take the people through. It's a simple process, but it'll save you so much time, especially when you get out there trying to sell it, because you know what it's going to take to get that customer to switch from what they're doing right now to what you're selling, because you understand the problem just from those customer forces thing, from those problem discovery interviews that you do. And it's a simplified process, and we leverage AI to get through the whole process. Yeah, but that's what we do with founders, but we also give founders access to this first part here, for at no charge, so they can actually get a scalable business model to kind of move forward with. And it just helps the founders out so much. That's why it's worth founders actually doing that. So, but yeah, that'll actually help you as a founder and your whole team out in what you're doing. I hope that made a little sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think we're definitely trying to follow that kind of line, to one degree or another, and like having it laid out visually like this really helps.
Yeah, it definitely, and this is more of a kind of like a milestone thing you're trying to do, whereas when you're doing like the startup science, it's more as a life cycle phase thing that you go through. And so it's just good to look at it from both perspectives as a founder, to kind of, because to me, if you know where you are in this process, you feel more at ease. If you know which side you're here, you feel more at ease. And see, and I don't know if you realize the research side, or when you were working at Boeing. So on our end, working at the research lab, and what I tell people, all the stuff that we're like doing has never been done before, and so we have a process that we follow. You see what I'm saying? And so
Right.
Yeah, and so as long as you follow that process, you're going to get to somewhere, whether it works or not. You definitely you know, you don't worry about can you do it or not. You just follow the process. And that's the way it is with startups, the founders. You just have to follow those milestone processes. And it's called so in engineering, it's called the engineering method or the R&D methodology, but in startups, it's just called the lean startup methodology or whatever. And it helps founders out so much. And I just run into so many people that they have brilliant ideas and they have these create these solutions, but then they don't learn how to sell them, you know, and that's what these different processes do to kind of help you out. But yeah, and so just I'll just show you how we're leveraging AI with this. So this 30-day business model design training here, I created a prompt that does all this for you in less than 5 minutes.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
yeah, and so it's leveraging the AI to do it. And those customer forces thing used to be you have to do that manually. Now, as soon as you upload the 30 to 45-minute interview with the script questions that you ask them to generate the stuff that the AI knows what you're doing, it literally it creates those that customer forces stuff, which is just telling you what's the psychology of getting a person to switch from what they're currently using to what you this new product that you created, and that does it, you know, instantly. Yeah, so it's just
Yeah.
leveraging so AI is used in so many different aspects of everything. So if you know, for those in the audience, if you're not leveraging these AI tools to help you with your business ideas and your business modeling and your business planning, you're literally you're doing stuff and you're just going blindly instead of, you know, using established principles and patterns that have already been used for years. Yep. And yep. So any takeaways you want to share with the founders from, if you know, based on what your experience has been with the AI and the meetup groups and also the working with founders, helping them build stuff?
I mean, I think my only takeaway is, you know, just to get involved in the conversation. You know, like don't it's not you can learn everything you need to learn online. I mean, there's a lot of communities online, and I even contemplated like, oh, should I start a online school community? And you know, some of these guys are, you know, getting very rich off that. That's a business model in itself. If you get 1,000 subscribers at $99 a month, like you're you're set for life, and all you're doing is some training. But for me, like having the face to face people to engage with, and really just, you know, I'm old fashioned. I like to whiteboard and things like that. So, but yeah, just get involved with whatever you can to get yourself up to speed with what's going on. And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be willing to help you learn how to leverage some of these tools and think out of the box. You know, don't take everything for granted. There's probably solutions to things that you're not even aware exist. So um,
Fantastic. And from my opinion and what I've learned over the years, what you're doing with that AI meetup thing. And so anybody can come to that AI meetup thing and learn. It's going to really impact our whole area here, you know, just by getting introduced to the stuff and seeing the significance of what you can actually do with it. And so wherever you are, if, you know, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, or somewhere else in Florida or Africa, or wherever, find these meetups and get familiar with this stuff, because you're literally it's the thing that's going to help you out with growing your business. And you said it was like almost like a level playing field now.
yeah, and you know, and also if you're listening and you're like, well, I already know some stuff. Like maybe if you're in a region that doesn't have an AI meetup, maybe think about starting one and being a mentor and teaching. You know, that that's the other side of this is I think we're at a place, this pivotal moment in our humanity where like we kind of need to help each other
Yeah,
survive the tidal wave that's coming over us, and
it's going to
so
be.
like like so all levels, like beware. If you're a superstar and you know your stuff, like find some people to teach. If you're somebody that doesn't know anything, find somebody to teach it, and everything
Yeah,
in between.
yeah. And these tools are looking for people with different expertise in whatever career field they're in, and that understand the problems in their career field. And so if you got a job, or if you had a job and you know some problem that's out there that needs to be solved, and you got the expertise, you're the one that knows how to tell the AI what it needs to do. And yeah. And so now you get what I noticed from Boat today, not Boat, but Replit, was if you type in a prompt there, it has an assist button. You can click the button and it'll revise your prompt to make it better for the AI. So you don't have to be an expert on. You don't have to know how to prompt. You just have to be willing to get started and learn how to do it over time. And that's what I think is the message. Just says stop waiting to dig in. Just get involved, no matter where you are. Uh, yeah, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir in a lot of cases, but I don't think people realize the significance. Like you said, not a thing of a lifetime; it's a thing of a species. It's like that powerful. Yeah, yeah. So I really appreciate you coming on, and I like what you're doing with the meetup, and I like what you're doing. Like with your kind of agency, helping people build applications. So, what's the best way for people to reach out to you through your website, or what's the best way for them to get a hold to you?
Yeah, you can send me an email at ben@voice8.ai. So it's
Okay,
voice number 8 and then .ai. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And
a pretty easy email address. I'll go ahead and type it in here for folks. Voice8. Yeah. So, is there anything behind that name, Voice8?
well, I mean, okay, yeah, so maybe it's just me getting older, but like to me the number 8 is it's significant because it's infinity turned upside down.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
it's abundance, affinity, infinity, and then the third thing, which is not super obvious, and maybe people don't even care about, is the number of times gold is mentioned in Genesis is 8 times. So
Okay,
to me, it's this concept of abundance. I think if you just research the number, it has kind of all those meanings, and for me, like that just kind of fit my
okay,
personal view on my goals, and
okay,
and really what I want for everybody else involved, right? Like it's I think abundance it's not just prospering, it's really making everybody you touch prosper.
okay.
Right.
So you said in Genesis it mentions abundance 8 times. Is that what you said?
Gold, the
Gold.
word
Oh,
gold.
okay.
The word
Wow. Okay.
it's a
Okay.
I take that for what it is, but
Okay.
it's
Got it. Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because that's actually there's reasons behind things, and so like I said, we appreciate you coming on. And next week we're gonna have um, I don't know if you call him a founder. Um, uh, his name is Paul, but he's worked at Anthropic. He's worked at Google, but he's actually from Mobile, Alabama, and he's actually working over at the innovation portal over there, and so he's going to come on and share some stuff about his career and about AI, and he's a Morehouse grad. But he said he majored in computer science, but he minored in business. So he knows how to combine the two things. And I mean, it's a brilliant young man. I don't even know if he's even 30 yet. So, but it's pretty neat to have this early in your career to work at those different companies and stuff like that. Yeah. But so we're looking forward for him next week. And then the following week, we're going to have Dr. LaTanya White back on and see what she's been up to, you know, yeah, and the deal there. All right. Thanks a lot, Ben. We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for chiming in, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay.